Everyone, and welcome to this brand new edition of the Pro Wrestling Show. I'm your host, Kendra Dix. For this weekend, this is Survivor Series weekend as we're getting ready for the Fall Classic, where Raw meets SmackDown and for brand supremacy. Alright, and then we're going to talk about the Raw ring reports, the SmackDown ring reports, the Impact ring reports, and of course, hot topics. Alright, let's get started with the Raw ring report. Alright, this week on Monday Night Raw emanated from Atlanta, Georgia. Commissioner Stephanie McMahon opened the show and talked about Raw winning at Survivor Series at all costs. Whether when the men's side, the women's side are champions. She called out Kurt Angle to the ring and she began to say hurtful things to Kurt Angle to damage him and demand that he finish SmackDown off at Survivor Series. Even saying that her own brother needs serve her to her brother as, like a head, like his head to her. That's what she wants. She wants victory, results. If she don't get it, Kurt Angle could be out of a job as Raw General Manager. As she stated, the Shield came out, interrupted from the crowd, into the ring, and told the Commissioner McMahon to tell her to shut up and allow Kurt Angle to do his job because he's been doing a fine job, even stepping in for them when Roman Reigns was out of commission. So Stephanie was kind of like a little bit tepid and trepidatious and like, "Woo, you ain't Kurt." And Roman Reigns, she asked Roman Reigns, "Where have he been?" And Roman Reigns turned around and asked her, "Where's she been?" And Roman Reigns put a little mention about WrestleMania where she went through a table and she wasn't seen for months. And Seth Rollins was kind of a little bit apprehensive with that, like, don't mention that. So the Shield formally called out the New Day and demanded that they meet them at Survivor Series to see out who's the dominant team in the WWE right now between their brands. Where you got the Shield, 3 former world champions in between Ambrose, Rollins, and Reigns against the longest reigning WWE Tag Team Champions ever in the modern history, the New Day. So, hey, New Day had their response, but we'll get to that on the SmackDown report. Let's get to the action with Bayley pinning Mickie James and Dana Brooke to earn the final spot in Team Raw for the women's side. So Bayley, she looked at last week when Sasha Banks got picked over her, she looked like she was kind of upset, but Bayley kind of feeling a little bit happy. So that's good for her. In Cruiserweight action, Drew Gulak and champion Enzo Amore won over Kalisto, the challenger, and Akira Tozawa in the typical cruiserweight match. But and then on the extra footnote on 205 Live, the following next day, Kalisto had his little birthday celebration and he went against Aaron Navarre and won. And he did some birthday surprise on the champion. Enzo was looking for revenge at him for putting cake in his face. Alright. We are in Angle's war room, and Angle discussed with Team Raw. He assembles Team Raw and tells them what their agenda should be tonight, as he put Samoa Joe and Finn Balor right there, the t-shirt, as a team tonight against the brothers, the Good Brothers, Finn Balor's former crewmates of the Bullet Club, Anderson and Gallows. He puts his son, illegitimate son Jason Jordan, against Bray Wyatt, which that was kind of like to test his mental capacity and his state and his mind, because Bray Wyatt is a, he'll just doing this and doing that, like he knows how to get play mind games. I'll say psychological mind games. And Braun Strowman demands a match against Kane. Angle feels reluctant at first, but agrees to the match. So it's going to be Braun Strowman vs. Kane in the main event later tonight. So we move over to Miz TV, where the Miz welcomes the new Raw Tag Team Champions, Sheamus and Cesaro. And the bar talked about, sorry about that, I've had some milk, cereal. The advantage of the situation, how they took advantage of the situation when the New Day invaded the Shield and capitalized on the Shield and to win the Tag Team Championships. And then the Miz and the Bar bragged about wanting to beat the reunited Shield for good, which they had an opportunity at TLC, but that didn't happen. Angle had to come in and replace him, and this is kind of like the No Mercy match that was tend to happen, but it happened for a free crowd in the Raw. So they talked about that. We go over to Jason Jordan, wins over Bray Wyatt, and gets taken out by Wyatt, and kind of like of his knee. Bray Wyatt tries to do damage on his knee over this steel, the post. So like Jason Jordan, questions uncertain if he's going to be involved in Survivor Series or not, but stay tuned, stick to this. Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman addressed the WWE Universe and the WWE new champion, AJ Styles, and tells him he don't know what he's getting himself into. Paul Heyman did advocate that Styles is a good wrestler, but Brock Lesnar will be the dominant champion come at Survivor Series. The Shield beats The Miz and The Bar. That was easy. They were just the good guys won over the bad guys just to get momentum. Kurt Angle is in the ring and wants to replace his son, and Jason Jordan comes up to the ring and pleads with Kurt to stay on Team Raw, but the returning Triple H, the COO of WWE, returns and tells Kurt, no matter what, I'm on the team. So Jason Jordan out, Triple H in for Raw. I think the door is trying to come creeping back at Kurt Angle, and Kurt Angle's seeing all these transgressions coming back. He had history with Triple H and Stephanie at the a couple of years ago, where Triple H, Stephanie, and him was in a love triangle where Stephanie was kind of conflicted between the two men. She was married to Triple H, she was getting to know Kurt Angle, she was getting cozy with Kurt, and Triple H had to stop that. That's strange bedfellows, but it happens. Alright, Baylor, Samoa Joe, and Finn Balor teamed together against the Club. They defeat Carl Anderson and Gallows in an instant. It was a good match. So it seemed like they had to work together, like I said, strange bedfellows, just to get along for the team. But after Survivor Series, no question about it, they're going to be back to normal and be back on opposing sides. And the main event was Braun Strowman versus Kane. It ended in a no contest with Strowman picking up Kane, driving the big red monster to the canvas, and that ended the show. And we don't know what happened then. Raw was up, and the ratings, Raw was up 7% with 3 million views. What a way to end it with Braun Strowman picking up the big red monster and hosting him down. Alright, let's get over to the SmackDown ring report. On SmackDown this week, now, we talked about retaliation, retribution, and revenge. Them the 3 R's. They're all about the same, but when it comes to SmackDown, they wanted to, pep that up with a pep rally. So it's Commissioner Shane McMahon begins to have that holds a pep rally and begins to talk about how Raw is holding SmackDown back, and they consider SmackDown the show. The show. You talking about the, like in the indefinite wording? Like I said, SmackDown is the show, but SmackDown is not the flagship show. Raw is. No question about it. Raw's been here on longer. SmackDown's been on quite some time catching up to Raw. But SmackDown is considered a good, classic, solid show. Raw is more like an entertainment show. It's just, it is what it is. He's going around asking the superstar what they're going to do, this and do that. New Day speaks. Becky Lynch speaks. Baron Corbin speaks. They all get themselves hyped up and ready. So we move over to where Daniel Bryan's in the ring, and he wanted to make peace with Raw, and he realized that Raw wasn't playing nice with him. So he got attacked by Kane, and he said he'll let that slide, but he knows that SmackDown will prevail at Survivor Series. And he brings out WWE, the new champion, WWE champion AJ Styles, to the ring, and Bryan acted like this. He was his advocate for Styles and sent a message to the Raw's Universal Champion, Brock Lesnar, Paul Heyman, that AJ Styles is ready for the beast and he will bring his all at Survivor Series. No question about it. So AJ Styles looking forward to this meeting with Brock Lesnar at Survivor Series. Baron Corbin is the first champion to defend his title and keep his U.S. title against Sin Cara, and now he moves on to fight Miz at Survivor Series in a champion versus champion match. Second tier champion match at Survivor Series. An emotional title change happened as Charlotte Flair battles Natalya one-on-one for the women's championship, and she wins in her hometown of Charlotte. After the post-match celebration, she celebrated with her father, Ric Flair, and now Charlotte sent that message that at Survivor Series, when she was on Raw, she was the queen of Raw, and now they move over to a goddess. It's been like they polar opposites. They never fought each other, but it's the first time she faces Alexa Bliss at Survivor Series, champion versus champion match. I've always said I wanted to see Alexa Bliss versus Charlotte. Now I get a chance to see that match at Survivor Series. It's going to be a great match. The best of Raw, best of SmackDown. A vignette shows up with the Blunger brothers that they are coming to SmackDown next week. Former associates, former followers of Bray Wyatt are going to re-debut again, repackage. So it must be interesting and fun. I wish I would have seen him with Bray Wyatt. So give further known that. Jimmy Uso super kicks Chad Gable with the help of his tag team partner, his brother Jay, and Shelton Benjamin got kicked for his worries by Jay too. So it's like Gable and Benjamin are kind of like what Jimmy Uso said. They just absolute. But Jimmy and Jay Uso made an interesting footnote that last year's Survivor Series, it was a tag team, Raw's tag team versus SmackDown tag team, 10-man tag team match or something like that. And the final two was Sheamus and Cesaro from Raw versus the Usos from SmackDown. And Sheamus and Cesaro won, but the Usos carried that burden. Like the Usos said they want to get revenge on that, what happened last year. So they get that chance to do so at Survivor Series this weekend. And we're going to have to predict the outcome after who's going to, with that. All right. And finally, Raw gets his revenge on SmackDown. The Shield comes out, interrupts the New Day match against Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. And you would have thought Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn would rally with the New Day, but that didn't happen. Zayn and Owens, backed out and walked away and left the New Day to fend for themselves. And the New Day getting beat up. And then the SmackDown, more Raw people came in. Finn Balor, Samoa Joe, you name it. They all came in to get their revenge. And more SmackDown came out. Shane McMahon left, with the crew. They all getting beat up. Even in the backstage, the women getting destroyed by all the SmackDown women getting destroyed by the Raw women. And Charlotte looking around at her former teammates that she led captain last year's Survivor Series. And she gets attacked, cheap shotted by Alexa Bliss, the Raw Women's Champion. And then you see Kurt Angle comes in the ring. Braun Strowman came in the ring. Kurt Angle send the final message to Shane McMahon and destroyed him and did the Angle slam and had him in the face and had him set up for a triple powerbomb twice. I would have thought either they could have did this way. That worked, and I can't fault him for that. But two dynamic, two angles I would have done was either powerbomb Shane through the table. That would have been more effective. That would have ended the show right there. Or have Kurt Angle put the ankle lock on him and just make Shane tapping while all the Raw superstars looked on and watched, making Shane, screaming. But I guess they didn't want to go there because they didn't want to feel like Shane was getting weak on his own show. So I guess, and they didn't want to powerbomb him. So I guess their ultimate thinking is powerbomb him twice and get over with, let him lay flat in the show. So later on the show, we're going to have predict the outcome for Survivor Series, who I think who's going to win at Survivor Series. So stick around. This is the Pro Wrestling Show. Welcome back to the Pro Wrestling Show. I'm your host, Kendrick Dick, and let's get to it. The Impact Ring Report. On the Impact Ring Report, Impact Wrestling kind of like, some of it was good, some of them was like they needed to be tweaked on and stuff. They had the beginning of the show started with a huge 6-man tag X Division match with the good guys picking up the victory over the bad guys. I think Garza Jr. was in the match. I think it was Desmond and Xavier. I know I tend to forget stuff, but I know the good guys won. Further on there, EC3 defended the Grand Championship against Falaba, and he cheated to win in the final round and retaining his title. In a post-match victory, did a swim with the fishes, swim with the ocean, like he swim with the fishes. But on Hot Topics, I'm gonna talk about who I believe some Impact is interested in somebody, but who I believe would make a great match with EC3. But stay tuned. Another 6-man tag team match featured between OVE versus LAX. And LAX finally won over against OVE. I'm thinking they're doing this double turn where LAX was bad and OVE was good. Now OVE, aligning themselves with Sammy Callahan, are now bad to the bone. So, if that's what they want to go, it works because they got great chemistry with each other. So, good dynamic with that. Dan Lambert comes to the ring with Lashley music, and this discredits everything about wrestling. Now, Dan Lambert is right now, to be honest with you, is their top heel right now in Impact, and they need to take advantage of Dan Lambert. Sooner or later, he's gonna have to be in a match with Moose or somebody. So Dan Lambert, I wouldn't be surprised if you put him as a authority figure or something. Get some more heat, because that's what you want as a promotion. You want more heat. You want to garner that heat. You want to establish that heat. And if you got a heat seller and heat maker, have him saying, "Oh, I talked to Impact Management. They want to agree with me. They think my ideas are great and all. They made me the new matchmaker." That's heat right there. And people would dislike that. And people want to see him get his butt whooped, and then he can make matches. They got to think that, you got something right there. The hand is hot. Why just won't you use it? Sometimes I don't think they don't like, we don't want no authority figure. We just all about wrestling. You need an authority figure to steer the ship of the show. So when something is a conflict, that authority figure come out. He makes a great authority figure. If he be out there and just say what we want to say and put the odds stack against Moose, it kind of gives Moose something to fight for. Hey, but anyway, my ideas work sometimes. Some people don't want to do that, but hey, Moose wanted to see Lambert, and Lambert wanted no part of Moose. And Lambert set up Moose and got attacked. Moose got attacked by American Top Team until the Cowboy James Storm came out and made the save and evened the odds. And James Storm, with that approach with the one dude, even like James Storm hit him like a beer bottle at a bar. And so James Storm said he's not playing. He's here for a reason. He's sick and tired of this and that. So James Storm making the save for his buddy Moose. And Lashley got speared by Moose for his troubles, and they all left out. After the break, KM approached America's Top Team and Lashley. And America's Top Team wanted to have him. KM wanted to join the team, and Lashley told him, "You got to do something to impress him." So I don't know what KM going to do. KM had to do something drastic, do something to impress Lashley and America's Top Team. So be aware, Moose. Be aware, Storm. You never know what may happen. McKenzie interviews Impact champion Eli Drake and his associate Christopher Dunn about tonight's main event, and against Petey Williams. Drake's feel confident about that he will retain and keep his title, and show Petey Williams that he is not a step above him, and that's why he is the champion for a reason. Show this Petey Williams highlight reel about his career, his highlights, being an X Division champion, being in his home country, wrestling for the title. Good reel, but I know who's behind it, and I'm not going to say who's behind. I'm not going to say on my show, but I know who's behind it, and it's kind of seemed like, favors. So, yeah, what it is. I know who's behind it. All right. Gail Kim retires as Knockouts champion and passes the torch to the division. Thus, the title is vacated, and she thanked all her fans. She had Allie along with her and JB at ringside. To Gail Kim, a true class act when it comes to wrestling, and she would dearly be missed in the wrestling. And she led a pathway for the revolution that started 10 years ago in her mind and everybody else's mind that you can agree. And WWE saying this women's revolution. It is a women's revolution in WWE, but TNA kind of formatted that. I can agree with their own revolution with the Knockouts division, with ODB, Awesome Kong, Gail leading the way for women to get more time and more space. So, Gail here on the Pro Wrestling Show, we want to say thank you and thank your contributions for all you done in wrestling. Grado is gone from Impact. Yes, Grado. Joseph Park approached Grado and told him his visa was cleared and tried to smooth things over. And the Canadian Mountie asked Grado, who asked for Grado, and was kicked out of the country. So we don't know if Grado might come back or not, but who knows. Also, footnote, man, that in 2 weeks, Johnny Impact and Alberto El Patron will return to Impact. And the combustible elements, we don't know what's going to happen with those two after last week's scuffle, brawl between those two. So let's hope they can get things under check and have a clear mind and focus on what's going on and try to focus on Eli Drake if they want to be global champion. Hey. Speaking of the champion, he had a title defense and he put his Impact Championship on the line against Peter Williams and retained just like that, and hit the gravy train to get the win. I like to not call that move the gravy train. I like to call it the final curtain call. If I was promoting that company, I'm like, it should be called the final curtain call because you're trying to say this is the finale and I'm finna call this is the call. So hey, you should. All right, that ends the Impact Ring Report. Let's go over to Hot Topics. On Hot Topics this week, WWE is actually considering bringing back Hulk Hogan. Well, Hulk Hogan, we know the controversy he made about racist rants, and WWE saying they trying to see if their stockholders are kind of open to the idea of bringing the Hulkster back. With many rumors where Hulk Hogan was going to return at WrestleMania 33 in Orlando, and that didn't happen. Plans fell through. Could he come back around this WrestleMania where a couple of years ago he came back to host at WrestleMania at the current WrestleMania event, WrestleMania 30, now it's going to be 34 in New Orleans, where he infamously called the Superdome the Silver Dome. Speaking of Hulk Hogan's buddy, Eric Bischoff returned to wrestling. Well, not what you think. Bischoff denied reports that he's not owning no wrestling company right now. Many people thought he was going to own a wrestling company in the northern Ohio area, and that is not the case. Bischoff accurately said that on his Facebook thing that he's not owning no wrestling company anytime soon. Right. All right. Impact is interested in Brian Cage. Now, what a phenomenal way to bring somebody in as a heavyweight who is big and who has ability like a cruiserweight. And Cage been in Lucha Underground. Cage would make a great fit for the wrestling business, for Impact. He will fit in. You know, some people say he need to be in the X division. No, he needs to be in the heavyweight division. He don't need to be in the world title division. He need to be in the secondary division just to make a name for himself and get himself established and shows what his unique talent and his abilities is. I can see him going against EC3. That's a match right there. Have them play hot potato with the title. That's a rivalry right there. Because, hey, you never know. If I was booking, hey, Impact, I got your idea, so use that. if you're gonna do that. All right. Mojave Shira and Swagger has been released from Impact. Mojave Shira, you remember him from this year? Well, he's been in Impact, but he was in Impact with their Indian tour and won their Indian trophy and trying to show for the Indian people. Man, it just didn't work out. But I would, if I was running Impact, I would say keep him. You never know. I hope they don't do like WWE doing with Jinder Mahal. Like they was using him as a project and it didn't work. It worked, but it didn't work to the best of their ability. And sometimes you got to blame the company for not trying that extra step to get him where he needs to be. So who knows? Mojave Shira could end up back in Impact or go somewhere else. Who knows? And Swagger, he was never under contract to Impact. He was just a one-time per deal basis. So WWE announced this week that Los Angeles will host Survivor Series through its 4-day weekend with NXT, with the event Survivor Series, and Raw and SmackDown. So WWE will be coming to LA for Survivor Series in November. I guess they like, hey, we're gonna do what we want to do. We want to do it. All right, that is Hot Topics. Let's go over. When we return, we're gonna have Predict the Outcome. Stay tuned. Back to the Pro Wrestling Show. I'm your host Kendra Diggs, and let's go to Predict the Outcome for Survivor Series. Now, I also added to that footnote. Let's run this down. This weekend is NXT Takeover Houston War Games, and the matches are Sandy versus Undisputed versus the Authors of Pain and Roderick Strong with them, and I believe Undisputed will win at Takeover and War Games. Drew McIntyre versus Andrea Alcione for the NXT Championship. Drew McIntyre will successfully retain that. Carly Sane versus Payne Royce versus Ember Moon versus Nikki Cross. Ember Moon, who's been training in Houston under Booker T, has a shot to win the title for the first time that she tried to go for when the undefeated Asuka and her had them unique battles for the championship, and Asuka had to relinquish the belt. Cassius Ohno versus Lars Sullivan. That's easy. Lars Sullivan will win that one over Cassius Ohno. The Velveteen Dream versus Aleister Black. The Velveteen Dream been asking Aleister Black to say his name and being confident about it. And I think Aleister Black will win over the Velveteen Dream. So that's your quick rundown of NXT TakeOver Houston War Games. See the event this Saturday. Or tonight, however you want to see it this weekend, exclusive available on WWE Network. Alright, let's go over to, right now, Predict the Outcome. That was Predict the Outcome for NXT TakeOver a little bit, the quick rundown. Now, this Sunday at Survivor Series is going to be sold out. Now, let's go to Champion versus Champion. SmackDown Women's Champion Charlotte goes against Alexa Bliss, and it's easy and simple. SmackDown Women's Champion Charlotte has momentum going in. She won the championship, so she's going to have momentum being Alexa Bliss. I would say predict Charlotte will win.